Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Underwriting assistance for our program is provided by the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing.
Today we have a special Oklahoma Gardening show as we talk with OSU President Burns Hargis and his wife, First Cowgirl Ann, about the importance of sustainability, health, and wellness. We also speak with a familiar face to Oklahoma Gardening viewers, as former host Steve Dobbs shares with us the influence the Hargises have had on the campus beautification. Then we'll also see how under President Hargis's leadership, sustainability has trickled all the way down to the students. Joining us today is a familiar face who we always enjoy having back on Oklahoma Gardening. Steve Dobbs, who is the Landscape Service Director, is here to share with us how he has taken a landscape that was just shrubs and lawn into a transformational process where it is now a botanical treasure as well. Steve, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit when you first started here, what were some of your priorities and what did the campus look like?
Well, of course, I went to school here many, many years ago. And at that time, I remember, being very formal hedgerows. But as a student, I didn't pay much attention to the grounds because I was having to study so much and, classes and those things. But when I came on as an employee now, looking at the campus from a whole new perspective, it truly was hedgerows, lawn, and you hear the term mow and blow often. That's what it was, mow and blow and dragging water hoses.
And so what were your first priorities to make that transformation?
Well, the dragging water hose thing was time consuming. Staff literally was dragging hoses all over campus. I mean, it was probably less than 10 acres irrigated at that time. And so President Hargis had already initiated some funds to be allocated to put in a new irrigation system on campus. And so that was in the design process when I came on board, so I was able to get into that process. And then we designed the irrigation system where it's very efficient, sustainable, drip irrigation for shrub beds, seasonal color beds. But once that was finally done, that changed everything because now we could irrigate the core part of campus, do it at night when we should be doing it or early mornings. And then staff was able to start expanding on attention to detail. We were able to do more creative things. We were able to hire more people on. We have our own new design team, and that changed things because we could design for what we could maintain even. So irrigation really was the starting point of the transformation.
And that was already started by President Hargis before you came on, it sounds like.
Absolutely was.
So obviously the irrigation plays into that sustainable landscape, but talk a little bit about the plant selection also.
It's key because if you think of a homeowner, we always talk about right plant, right place. Well, we practice the exact same thing on a much larger scale, but I think with us designing it, we're able to study the areas a little bit more and know, is it truly full shade? Is it full sun? Is it wet? Is it compacted soil? Is it full sun in the summer but shade in the winter? And that's the case on many things because of the buildings that are 3 and 4 stories high. So that right plant, right place thing is key, and that really is a sustainable mindset because if you put the right plant in the right place, hopefully it will get established, less problems with it in the long run.
So with such a busy campus landscape, how have you found ways to integrate unique gardens on campus also?
Well, first and foremost, we remember why we're here, and that's because of students. And what we do, we know is important in student recruitment. And but also when you get 25,000 students, and then you think about homecoming when there may be 60, 70, 80,000 people in town, you're going to get a little bit of damage and wear and tear, and there's always something going on, so that also makes it fun, but you have to think about that from a design standpoint. Tough plants in certain high traffic areas, things that will take foot traffic, and it all comes into play with design and right plant selection again.
Yeah, I love that there's unique garden spaces to discover all over campus, from the labyrinth to the mother's garden.
Absolutely, and so there's hidden treasures all over the campus, and one I would share with you is the native plant corridor. Our campus is very formal looking, especially in front of the library, but behind the library we have an east-west axis that's equally busy, but we've designed it where now it's informal, it's all native plants, and just in 3 or 4 years, it's remarkable the number of butterflies and beneficial insects that you see. So it works even in an urban setting, even on a college campus. And of course, our students are very sustainable mindset. They want native plants. They may not know what a native plant is, but they know it's important. And so it educates, it helps the environment, and it's truly important to our design features to have formal yet informal natural areas like Theta Pond, and it's part of a big master plan that we updated even 10 years ago as well.
Right, and you mentioned new buildings, but a landscape is more than just the buildings and the plants. There's a lot of cohesion that's happened with the other hardscape around here, and also the art.
Well, again, President Hargis has a vision for outdoor public art, and so he formed a public art committee years ago, and I have the privilege of getting to serve on that. And even plant material in the campus grounds, it's not just the plants, it's really about interaction. And so when we do the beautiful seasonal color displays or the topiaries, it's, again, students don't necessarily want to know what the plants are, it's how it makes them feel, that interaction. And so it is a juggling match to try to figure that out, but that's why our job is to look at the big picture. How do the spaces interact? What's the balance of hardscape with actual plant material? Our trees are all inventoried, and we have a huge forestry program that we protect those trees, which comes back to sustainability. But again, a student's interaction around Theta Pond under a shade tree, it leaves a powerful impact on them for years to come, and they come back and want to sit under that same shade tree, maybe where they were engaged even or something. Again, they may not know the kind of tree or the type of grass, but it's that feeling that it leaves them, and it makes them feel special and at home, if you will, on a college campus.
Well, obviously we recognize the change around here, but nationally you guys have been recognized as well for all the hard work you've done. Tell us a little bit about some of the awards you've won.
For years we were just focused on making changes and improvements when funding would come, and a lot of that has been through President Hargis with donor support. A big part of it has been, but we finally got to a point, it was like we stood back and we were like, wow, we really have made a lot of improvements. You just forget about what all has changed. And so we were recognized, I think, in 2018 with Keep Oklahoma Beautiful for an environmental award for college campus, which is very unusual. And then in 2019, the Professional Grounds Management Society has a competition, and we won the Grand Award for the best maintained college campus in our category, which is large universities, and that's nationwide. So that is very special. Again, tying it back to Burns, but my staff, oh my gosh, they have a passion about what they do, and they work so hard. And we remind them, just from picking up litter and branches and proper mowing and the eye-catching topiaries. They all take pride in what they do, and it's accolades to them for their hard work over the years that we got that kind of recognition.
Well, gardening is definitely in the details.
Yes.
And it definitely goes to show what hard work can do, and also proper planning. Do you think you would be where you were if that irrigation hadn't changed, and President Hargis's role in that?
I don't, because it's been kind of, I mean, it's a beautiful campus, and it always has been, don't get me wrong, because our architecture is beautiful. But from Campus Beautification, when we had a plan and we installed it and tried to think about every detail, you know, matching trash cans, light poles, things like that, right plants, but if it wasn't for his direction and vision for how campus could look, none of it would have happened, because it's his leadership, and he always reminds us it's pride in place, and we tell our staff this all the time. Many students make up their mind within the first 15 minutes of arriving on campus before they meet anybody by how the campus looks and how it makes them feel. And President Hargis gets that. And so as a leader, he instilled it in his team, and campus has transformed. I say we've just got to be along for the ride, because it's been an exciting time under his leadership, and campus beautification and sustainability is just one of those pieces.
Well, Steve, on behalf of so many people that visit the campus, we just want to say thank you to you and your staff. It looks phenomenal.
Well, thank you, Casey.
Over the past 13 years, President Burns Hargis has been leading OSU. While research, academics, and athletics are always leading stories, we visited with President Hargis and his wife, First Cowgirl, and Hargis about some of the other influences they've had here on OSU's campus.
Health and wellness is the evolution of a human being, and the better you feel about yourself in all aspects. I mean, financial well-being, mental, physical, all kinds of things come together in the total picture of a human being. And so the more we can enhance that, the better success we have from our students, and that's the whole goal of this university. One of the biggest components of wellness, especially on a university campus, is your emotional well-being, your mental well-being. And we started the pet therapy program to enhance our programs within that area of wellness. And it has taken off. It is a tremendous success. We never dreamed the value it would bring to this campus. And so we're kind of a model for all universities as to how you can go about doing this. We get requests from all over the world.
Well, this campus is a tremendous asset to the university and to our students and our faculty and our staff and our visitors. It's a great recruiting tool. But when we got here, we had a lot of dead spots all over the campus. And, you know, where people would walk, cut the corner and that sort of thing. And I learned that we really didn't have much of a landscaping department at that time. That went kind of back to the 90s, I understand, when there was a big problem. So we were basically mowing the grass and clipping the hedges.
And tripping over hoses.
And tripping, yeah, they were dragging hoses around. So I knew we had to have a irrigation system. I mean, you just can't have wonderful landscape without one in Oklahoma. And so we went to work on that, and finally we're able, when we redid Farm Road, we brought the water in from Lake Carl Blackwell. And really, then we hired Steve Dobbs. I mean, poor Steve couldn't have done much without an irrigation system. But he's done wonders. He and his team have just been great. But this camp, I think everybody's proud of it. We're very proud of it. And I just want Steve Dobbs and his team to keep working their magic.
Steve and his crew have done a beautiful job of integrating the art with the landscaping on this campus. And I hope that he went into detail about the placement of particular pieces of art. For instance, the singing heart that's in the Mother's Garden is facing the library, and the Nancy Randolph Davis statue, which is at Human Sciences, is also. So from all points of this campus, areas of interest point to the library of this campus, which is a focal point and which is symbolic of education. So it's the purpose of all this art really flows together.
So we just think that all adds to the interest and the beauty of the campus.
We have heard that people who visit this campus understand the value of when we have the cowboy code right here as you enter, and you have all the art and the beautiful landscaping. People feel welcome. It's the whole feeling of family and home and welcomeness. So I think that the campus sets itself up to be very welcoming from the minute prospective parents and students visit. I'll also add that that's the first impression, but we also have so many pockets of excellence all over this campus, and every single day someone, be it faculty, staff, students, someone is stressed. So we have areas of quiet on campus. We have the labyrinth that is located between buildings on campus. And also, Burns, would you read that plaque right? You're standing on it. Read that plaque.
Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. John Wayne.
John Wayne, and we got permission from John Wayne's family to cast that in bronze. So there again, this is giving students courage to get on that saddle and ride. You can do it.
Well, we love OSU, and we love the students, and we love everything about it. So thanks for having us on, and go Pokes!
The Office of Sustainability was created in 2012, and we work with the energy managers to help the campus community reduce their use of energy, and also conserve resources on campus. Some of the programs that we've created since 2012 are a couple of recycling programs on campus, the OSU Recycles program and also the Res Life Recycles program, which is just for the students who live in the residence halls. We also started a peer-to-peer outreach program called the RHA Eco-Reps. They're part of the Residential Hall Association, and those students do outreach with other students in the res halls to help them conserve energy and resources as well. So students, freshmen on campus typically live in the res halls, and there are living learning programs in the res halls, and we have an Eco House living learning program in IBA Hall, and any incoming student who's living in the res halls can participate in Eco House, and we have programming that anywhere from thrift shopping downtown to some community gardening and lots of different programs for them to be involved with. We have 2 recycle programs on campus. OSU Recycles is just for the non-residents on campus, so they can recycle their bottles and cans and paper and cardboard. Custodians take that material outside to a recycle dumpster, and then our hauler takes that to the recycling facility. And we do a lot of that recycling or the baling of that materials right here on campus. And then the students who live in the res halls have the Res Life Recycles program, where it's more similar to the community, the City of Stillwater's program, where they can mix all the recycling together. They take their own material downstairs to blue dumpsters, and then that hauler picks up that material. And materials get recycled. Of course, the paper gets recycled into more paper, and cardboard, boxes, the glass and the metals get recycled into new products, and plastics also get recycled normally into carpeting or other materials. The cost saving that we receive from recycling is mostly the savings for not putting these materials into the landfill. So by diverting this material from the landfill, we have a savings there. But because we are kind of far from recycling markets, we don't get a lot of money for the recycling, but we do see some savings there from landfill disposal. And also, we want to see these materials become new products rather than just be buried in the landfill or incinerated. For more information about sustainability on campus, the recycling programs, the RHA Eco Reps, the Eco House Living Learning Program, you can go to our website.
So I'm a student worker here at the GLC, and I work here in between my classes. And being a student here and working at the GLC, we notice we go through a lot of plant material that maybe we won't end up using. The Horticulture Club uses the greenhouses every year for their plant sale, and we're very active in the greenhouses themselves. So we last year put forth a grant for an initiative to buy these composters for our greenhouses here. What those composters enable us to do is take any of these plant materials that are spent, that these I think were going to be used for an experiment, and they used all of the ones that they needed. And we're able to take this plant material and instead of throwing it away, actually put that towards maybe beautifying our greenhouses here, using that compost as a mulch or to add organic material into our garden beds here actually at the Greenhouse Learning Center. So I'm going to show you kind of how we would process these materials that we have. We'd come in here and either tear this off or just go ahead and take your clippers and put it into our bin that is for vegetative waste. And then you'd come along and take this soil and put it into our bin that is for soil waste. So the whole purpose behind separating the soil from the green waste is that through using these composters, we discovered that putting the soil in with our green waste and with our carbon additive, it slowed down our rate of decomposition to the point where it was almost unusable. But separating these out, we're able to help our process along and keep our recipe in the composter healthy and active.
We separate it out so that we have a nice ratio. We can control the ratio of green to brown. So green matter, plants, brown, not necessarily soils, a bit fine, but straw, in our case wood chips, leaves, anything like that, we do all of that. So we separate it out, put it in different bins. The soil, we set it aside, we'll reuse it, we'll mix it in with our finished compost. Once we separate it out, it's pretty much ready to compost. So we're basically experimenting with it. Our goal is to have them all around campus, and it's a closed system, so no critters can get in and mess with the compost and stuff. A cool thing about it being a closed system and it looks good, it can compost anything. So traditionally the rule is no milk or no dairy and no meat, stuff like that. We can put anything in those. So fat, dairy, meat can all go in it. It'll be composted. And the reason people don't usually do that is because it kind of smells bad. It's a closed system, helps with the smell. You can also it has a vent, you can put wood chips over that. That helps with the smell as well. Another cool thing about it is it's fairly modular. So we have the divider in it, and that makes one pile on the side. The other side can be used for a separate pile. And say we get a lot of green and we have plenty of brown, then we can take out that center divider and just have one big pile. Another cool thing, it's small, you can have multiple, so I have one big pile, and like a pallet system, you can turn it into that next box and it's still closed. We monitor the temperature so that stuff actually breaks down. We make sure the temperature at least tries to reach 120. That's our goal. That's steady composting. 160, you get into hot composting, which is our ultimate goal. So goal, we want it to compost. It has a heating coil in it, so over the winter if you're composting, it keeps it heated up so it doesn't freeze. Once it's frozen, everything's dead to an extent, and you kind of restart. And it also has an air pump in it, and that keeps the bacteria in it oxygenated. So there's aerobic and anaerobic bacteria. You don't want anaerobic. That means anti-air. That's no air. That's stinky. You want aerobic, which less stinky, but it breaks it down. It makes the good compost. So our plan with the finished compost is right now, since it's a pilot program, we want to put it in our beds out around this greenhouse. Whenever this greenhouse was built, the soil that's in the beds was just parking lot soil, has pretty much no organic matter, so we're trying really hard to up that organic matter and make sure our plants can grow up nice and healthy and large. So, and then eventually, maybe it'll if it expands around campus, we can get it to go into the planting beds around campus. So all the trees and all, like whenever people remulch, maybe they'll add down some of the compost that was made on campus before they mulch, and you add nutrients to your plants.
There are a lot of great horticulture activities this time of year. Be sure and consider some of these events in the weeks ahead. It has been a long 2 years since our last garden tour, and we are so excited to bring a sneak peek of the upcoming Tulsa Garden Club garden tour. So join us next week as we feature a couple of the garden gems that we know you'll want to see in person.
To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We would like to thank our generous underwriter, the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is also provided by Pond Pro Shop, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, the Oklahoma Horticultural Society, and the Tulsa Garden Club.